Hello. How's everybody this evening? Welcome, welcome. Welcome to our first Western Wednesday admissions webinar. My name is Sarah Drabeck and I am the Associate Director here in our Office of Admissions. I'm here live from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm trying to give you the tips and tricks to make sure that you are the most prepared to submit your admissions application and also prepare you with some scholarship information. So before we get started, I just want to make sure that everyone is aware and can hear me okay. I want to make sure we have our chat features available as well as looking at our Q&A area. So Western Wednesday is geared to get all of your frequently asked questions answered. So if you have any questions throughout this entire presentation, please feel free to shoot them over in our Q&A box and your doc. It may be on the top of your screen, it may be at the bottom. I'm excited. We have 19 participants in here today, and so we are ready to go. We also have this chat feature, which I will use throughout the webinar. The first thing I want to know is where you're from, so we can do a hometown shout out. Let me know where you are. Livonia, Fort Wayne, Warsaw, Indiana. Hello from Chicago. Michigan, fantastic. Well, wonderful. It's great to see you all. Virginia, hello. A little bit further away. I'm excited to see you. Perry, Michigan, Rochester. How fun. So a little bit about WMU. We bring in 3,000 new beginner students every single year. So it's exciting to see so many here. And Pickney, awesome. Annalise, it's nice to see you. We bring in 3,000 new first-year students every single year. So important thing to know is that all of our students are here. We're all in the same boat. We're all just like you. And I'm thrilled that you're with us today. I also want to get to know a little bit about you too and how far you are in the process. So I'm going to push a launch polling out to you right now. I want to know, this is anonymous, but I want to know how your application process is going so far. So the options are great, I'm done, going, it's a work in progress, and I'm not there yet. I'll give you a few seconds to answer. Awesome. All right, it looks like we're split. And my favorite one is majority of us are, not quite there yet, and that's okay. This entire process, it is a process, and I know senior year can get very exciting. There's a lot going on. So that's what I'm here for, is to help ease this process. So let's jump in. One of the biggest things I hear from first-year students, high school seniors, is what are you looking at when you're reviewing an application? And so if you're here, I'm just here to let you know that it may not be as scary as you think. And we can actually start making admissions decisions as soon as you complete junior year of high school. We're going to look at a lot of different things. We're going to look at your high school transcripts, your grades, how did you do in those classes. We'll also look at your ACT score and your SAT score. And we've provided a lot of information on our website to get you started. So if you bear with me, I want to share some screens with you so you can actually read this along with me. And so as we go through here, we have an entire website dedicated to this admissions criteria. And one of the biggest things you'll see is that, yes, we are going to absolutely look at your high school transcripts. We're going to look, how did you do in your English and your math and your science and your social studies? We're also going to look at your grade point average and a trend. So we at Western will more than likely recalculate your grade point average. So we are on a 4-point scale. And that means that we will actually look at all of your classes and look, did you take any honors classes, IB classes, so International Baccalaureate? Have you taken any advanced placement classes? Have you taken any dual enrollment classes? And if those are on your transcript and you've earned a C or better, that's awesome, because we're actually going to give you 1 grade point higher than what's already earned on your transcript. All right. Like, look at the next poll. All right. Bear with me. Here we are. How are we feeling about this application process? How many of you are excited, nervous? Hoping you can say something. Perfect. When we look at your grade point average, that's one thing, but we're also going to look at trend. So we talk a little bit excited and nervous. Thank you, Uriel. It's nice to get some traction over there. I understand it's exciting and nervous all at the same time. So when we talk about trend, we understand that maybe some folks maybe had a rocky freshman year, but we understand that sophomore year is better, and then after that, junior year is awesome. To me, as an admissions counselor, that means that you're on track to be ready to go and college prepared, college ready by the time you graduate high school. But sometimes on the flip side, we may have students who did okay freshman year and maybe hit a sophomore slump or a junior tumble, or maybe they caught senioritis freshman year. That's okay too. We take everything into consideration, and that's where this next part will come through. Awesome. So we have a couple questions. We had, what if I'm taking AP classes all this year? That's absolutely. If you've taken AP classes this year, that's great too. We will do an initial calculation based off of what has happened freshman through junior year. But sometimes we ask, maybe we need to see an updated work, and maybe we'll defer a decision to see what those progress of those grades. And if that's you, you send those over, and we'll also just recalculate that grade point average, bumping in those areas. The important thing to know is that we will make admissions decisions, but also maximize scholarship consideration by any application that is submitted by November 15th. So that's the grade point average and the ACT and SAT scores we'll use when making those applications decisions. Good questions. Let's talk a little bit about test scores, because I know sometimes that can be really concerning. ACT and SAT, we take both. We don't have a preference for which one you submit, but I do encourage you to take the test at least twice. New this year, we are actually going to be super scoring exams. So if you've taken the SAT twice, submit both those scores. We take the highest subsection and add those together to get a new higher total SAT score. The same thing goes for your ACT. If you've taken that twice, submit both scores. We're going to make an admissions decision based on your self-reported test scores. So we will be able to have everything that you need to get those applications in as soon as possible. We have another question too regarding this. So if I'm taking the SAT on November 4th, we'll be able to review by you by the 15th. That's a great question. November 4th might be cutting it a little bit too close for scholarship consideration. However, we will have a supplemental form that you can actually use to submit any new test scores for admissions consideration. So we need to have the score available in our office by November 15th, our early action deadline, to maximize all scholarship considerations. Absolutely. These are really great questions and concerns. My recommendation is to take it, if you can take it again, take it in October. Again, with scholarship consideration, we do have a firm deadline, our early action deadline. What we have on file that day will be what we'll be using. Great questions, team. We'll keep going. The important part to know about those test scores is that even though you've self-reported them, it will also, we will choose you to, should you choose to decide to attend Western, we will need your official scores sent from the institution before you enroll in the fall. And I have another question. So if I get admitted, will my scores be viewed again if it's in before? Absolutely. Whatever we receive by November 15th will be what we use for scholarship consideration. Awesome, I love these questions. Keep them coming. We have other questions too, which is fantastic. We have questions about dual enrollment classes. So the question is, I'm taking the dual enrollment classes through Indiana University. Yeah, absolutely. If you are taking a dual enrollment class, we would love to review those classes for credits here at Western. We have an entire area on our website for early credit. And actually, I will open that on our website right now. We have online transfer guides and equivalencies for any of our dual enrollment classes. If you're from an out-of-state college, sometimes we may need to do a little bit more legwork to make sure we know exactly what would come in as what. But a good general rule of thumb is that if you've taken the class and you've earned a C or better or a 2.0, and it's at the college level, so 100 level, 1,000 level or higher, there's a good chance that we'd consider that for some credit or decisions. The key is to have it bumped or weighted as part of your weighted GPA. We will need a grade on your high school transcript. Awesome. There's another piece too on this application that's very important for you to know, and it's really important and it's something that you can actually prepare now before you even sit down to complete your application. And that's the additional information section. We want to know more about you. I want to know, how have you been spending your time outside of the classroom? For some students, that means that they're athletes. That may mean that they're working a full-time job or part-time job. That may be that they're taking care of family members, siblings, grandparents. That may be that they're part of honor societies and volunteering in their communities and part of National Honor Society. Whatever it is that makes you you, I want to know that. And it's becoming really important we talk about scholarship consideration and what we're going to be using in the review process. We also want to make sure that we have everything about you. So definitely take time, write a really great personal statement. Include that as part of your application. We're going to review this all when we make an admissions decision. The application itself is pretty robust. We've made it this way so we can maximize scholarship consideration as well as your admissions consideration all in one document. The biggest thing to know at this point is that we recommend that any first-year students apply by November 15th, which is the early action deadline, in order to maximize consideration for scholarships and Lee Honors College. Does the application require a letter of rec? That's also a great question. We do not require a letter of recommendation on the application. If you choose to submit one as part of the process, we'd love to take a look at it, and it would, especially if it talks about your academic performance, success, and grit. What makes you the way you are, and how are you going to persevere and be a great addition to the Bronco family? What about applying to the Common App? That's a great question. Thanks, Chris. We are both on the Common App as well as on our Gold Gateway application. So you can choose either application. It looks very similar. The same questions are asked. The same information is going to be used for scholarship consideration. It depends on which one you submit, depends on what is best fitted and suited for you. So what happens with the Common application is that once you've submitted it and your school counselor has submitted the school report, we get information as part of Western Michigan University, and then we will trigger an email to you and encourage you to create what we call a Gold Gateway account. This is important. You want to keep this username and password handy, and I'm actually going to show you here in a second what that looks like. So as we work in here, I want to show you what this application will look like as we look to create your account. Awesome. So I'm going to go back into a screen share and show you our main website to navigate to either of our applications is wmich.edu/apply. And here, this is a great reference for all of you to view dates and deadlines, transcripts and test scores, as well as any application types and checking your status. You're going to scroll down and you have two options. Here is the link for Common App, as well as start or check your WMU application. I'm going to walk through a few of those screens right now because here are some tips and tricks to figure out as you to make that process as smooth as possible. It's also going to look the exact same way for when you get that email to create your Gold Gateway. So if you click Start or Check Your WMU application, you are going to come to this screen right here. And this is your Gold Gateway account. You're going to sign up. It's pretty fun. Here you're going to use your first name, your last name. Please spell this the way that you would like any official communication from our office to come to you as. If you like your first name capitalized, be sure you capitalize it here. Below, you're going to use an email address. Make sure you use an email address that you, the student, use all the time. Sometimes students and families like to use a general email address. We'll ask for family information later in your application. This email should really be the one that you check. It will also become your username when you go back into log into your application. And then finally, you're going to select the school that best fits you. So here, this is a SMART application. So if I were to type in Kalamazoo, really start, sometimes it takes a second to think. Any school that has Kalamazoo in the name or in the city will show up as an opportunity for us to check. Sometimes if we're typing too fast or we can't find our school name for some reason, maybe there's an initial in the title and the official name, but that's maybe not the more commonly used name that we use, feel free to use unknown school. Or if you're a student who's homeschooled, we also have that option. And then you're going to press submit and you will create an account. All right, do we have any questions so far? This is where we're at. All right, fantastic. So let's show you another area. Once you are in your application, and I'm going to show you what my fake one looks like. Once you're in an application, you are going to see a couple different things. This is called your Gold Gateway. And you'll see that this is a test account, so there's a lot of things going on. But here, this is going to be your portal. What you're going to do is press Start a New Application. And this is going to have all information and trigger you to the right application for you. The first question you're going to ask just simply yes or no to the first question. So it's going to ask about a citizenship. And I am a citizen, permanent resident, asylee, refugee, or documented. The next question is going to say, have you graduated from high school or completed a high school equivalency? If you're currently a senior in high school, the answer is no. If you're in part of an early middle college or completing a 5th year as part of high school, you're also going to select no. The next question says, I want to, and you're going to choose, I want to earn a degree because that's what we're going to school for. And then finally for term, you are going to select fall 2020. Many students think that they want to start and use spring 2020. Spring at Western actually starts in January. Most of you are still in high school. And then we will press start. And as we press start, it's going to think again. It's still thinking. Sometimes it takes a while. It's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. It's loading, there'll be circle dots. And then here's where you're going to navigate to your application. It'll show up with things that we already know about you, right? So by even registering for this webinar, if you signed up ahead of time, everything will be in here and stored. You can save and return, come back later. I would usually carve out about an hour to complete this entire application. Great question. If I mess up on the app and accidentally move to another page, can I go back? Yes, you can. And actually, when you get out of here, if you're in this application, you can, it's still saving, but you can actually press this back button right here and go backward. So you can go back and start a new one. But if the trick is, if you accidentally apply for fall and then you try to redo another one for fall, it won't let you. So make sure that you're going back into the same application to change it. The key, once you actually submit your full application, press submit, it's ready for review, you're ready to go, that's it. We can't update additional essays or activity history. Once it's submitted, it's submitted. All right. So fantastic. How are we doing right now? Any questions that we are burning about the application process? Oh, wonderful. Keep those questions coming. I do love those questions. All right, the next piece, which I would love to talk about, is scholarships. So we talked a little bit about this idea. I submitted 2 weeks ago. Absolutely, fantastic. So I love hearing that you've submitted this application 2 weeks ago. Brings up a great point. We won't start reviewing and releasing admissions decisions until the end of the month in early October. So it's fantastic to get your applications out of the way right now. I absolutely encourage it. Once we start releasing decisions, those will continue on a rolling basis, and we will continue all the way through our absolute drop-dead deadline of June 1st of your senior year. So I'd love to hear that. That's awesome. The next part, I want to talk a little bit about scholarships and what does this, by completing your application by November 15th, what types of scholarships could you be eligible for? And I think this is pretty important. Paying for school is absolutely an important part of the college going process. So this is going to be an overview of those information pieces. And thank you for your patience. Sometimes I have multiple items open. So here is our opportunities. So by applying for the, by our early action deadline, by November 15th, this year is a Friday, so prepare plenty ahead of time. Don't wait, you can prepare, you're already doing this meeting. We have a couple different opportunities. So by applying by November 15th, you are also going to maximize scholarship consideration and admission into the Lee Honors College. You should see about 3 different tiers of admissions criteria for the Lee Honors College. And just by meeting those criteria and meeting our early action deadline, you would be offered a Brown and Gold scholarship, which is actually worth $5,000. It's divided amongst 4 years and it is renewable. So that's pretty fantastic. Other things that are going to be available to you is consideration for our Medallion Scholarship Competition. The Medallion Scholarship Competition is our most prestigious competition at the university. It's actually worth $60,000, the medallion. So if you meet the criteria listed below that, a 3.7 GPA, a 1230 SAT, or a 26 on the ACT, you would be invited to participate in one of those dates. We have 3 competition dates this year. You choose the one that best fits your schedule. December 7th, January 10th, or January 11th. We won't make decisions on who would progress through the competition until all deadlines have been met and all participants compete in the competition. But everybody who does compete in that will receive a Bronco Merit Award, though their Brown and Gold will be upgraded from $5,000 to $10,000. So this is super important. We do have some questions that are plugging away in here. So a couple ones. Does the application accept documents? If I want to make an essay about my accomplishments, could I attach it? Absolutely. We have an area you can, on your application, add up to 5 accomplishments, awards, extracurricular activities. But we have an upload your resume area just to include those there. Somebody said, Jessica, hi Jessica, I'd like to double major. Know that you have to apply twice. So interesting. At this point, you actually only submit 1 application to the university, and you're going to choose the major that you're most interested in. If you are interested in an area of fine art, I would recommend listing your fine art major first on that application. That is one of the areas on our campus that requires a secondary review process. They do have a supplemental application to fill out. It may be a portfolio review or audition date depending on the actual major. We will have a fine arts session, and we'll have a lot of different academic informational sessions in the coming weeks. So really, you actually have one application to the university. We can add a second major once you come to orientation in June. So that's a great question. You're paying one fee at this time and only applying once to the university. And repeating the medallion times, absolutely. Medallion is December 7th, January 10th, and January 11th. With that competition, approximately 60 students will be selected to continue in the competition and earn to upgrade additional funding, including the Medallion Award. Our average SAT for Western is right around that 22, ACT is about 22, 23, which is the equivalent on the SAT, ACT. So we're right around that same area, about 1,100. We do super score, again, a refresher, we do super score SAT and ACT. So if you take the test more than once, you can send us all of your scores, that's gonna maximize your admissions consideration and your scholarship consideration. The last part of scholarships I want to share with you at this point is our Bronco Merit Plus. So if you are recognized as a National Merit Finalist or a National Hispanic Scholar by the College Board's recognition program, you would earn $15,000 or overall over 4 years, or Bronco Merit Plus. And then the last thing about scholarships before we continue is that depending on how you answer questions in your application, be truthful, really, be raw, tell us who you are. And based on those questions, you may be prompted to submit additional essays to continue in other scholarship opportunities across campus. An example would be if your parent graduated from WMU, you're technically called a legacy. And so they have a supplemental essay that would appear in your portal after admission that you could submit by their deadline in order to continue in their consideration process. All right. I'm going to stop there for a second. Do we have any other questions about admissions and scholarships and things that we can consider? We had a couple flying in, so Q&A. Awesome. And someone also said, if I took the SAT twice and just took the ACT last week, how can you see all of them? The easiest way for us to see them is for you to have us have Western Michigan University listed as an official score. So you just want to send it, have us listed as one of the colleges to send your scores to. That'll make sure it comes in. If you did, that's fantastic. We will be able to update your application and your profile. This all comes part of your official record at Western. And when it's time for us to review your application and release decisions, it'll all be considered. Benefits of the Lee Honors College, absolutely. So a couple benefits at this point in time. There's so many opportunities. It's really a small liberal arts feel. We have 1,700 students at the university that are part of the Lee Honors College. We're talking smaller class sizes, more discussion-based. They have a huge emphasis on research and capstone projects. Philanthropy is another area. They have a fantastic Study in the States program. We have one of the oldest in the entire country, and it is just fantastic. I highly encourage you to tune in to our session on November 13th, where we will have a guest from the Lee Honors College come in and talk about all the tips, the tricks about joining the Lee Honors College and what the perks are and really what makes it special here at Western. Good questions. All right. So with that said, I want to share a couple of different things with you as well. For Western Michigan University, I always want to leave students with a timeline. So I understand that sometimes it can get, there's a lot of things going on. Senior year can get kind of crazy. And so if you are a senior, I know that spring gets pretty nuts here, but this is the timeline that I always give to prospective students, and I'm excited to share it with you now. So you folks are already ahead of the game. You're here, you're looking at what it looks like to actually become a Western Michigan University student. I recommend that no matter where you go, what you do, you apply by Halloween of your senior year. Think boo, scary, get it out of the way. This is the best opportunity to just maximize any scholarship consideration, and you'll probably meet a majority of the college's early action deadlines or priority application deadlines. The next piece is to search for scholarships. So I would love to talk a little bit about this too. November, December, January of your senior year, think of it as scholarship season. If you haven't already started searching for scholarships, I highly encourage you to do so. One of the biggest things I see for students is that they wait, and that becomes so much more stressful in the end. So look at the university for scholarship opportunities, but look at the millions of dollars that go unclaimed every single year because students forget to apply for them. Look local and go global. So start with your banks, credit unions, start with your job, places of employment, start with your school counselor. Maybe they have some fantastic resources. Know that the number of $60,000 scholarships or $100,000 scholarships are far and few between. But the number of, if you can find $500 one place and then $200 another, and then $1,000 in option 3, those add up really quickly. And if you do this every single year, you will completely optimize your finances for college. The next recommendation I have for students is to fall in love by Valentine's Day. You have absolutely through May, that's National College Candidate Reply Date, but I know I've worked with students for a while, and to see students make decisions early really alleviates any pressure that they have in the spring. This is when we're gonna start really asking you what your feelings are. How are you feeling about Western? Is it time for you to become a Bronco? We're gonna ask, do you plan to intend to enroll? Let's get you registered for orientation. Let's get you to submit a deposit. Let's sign you up for housing. There's no pressure, but if you do this early, you'll have plenty of time to enjoy prom and spring sports and spring musicals and breathe. And then the other piece right now is honestly to graduate and attend orientation. So this will happen in June. Registration starts pretty early, but orientation is here on campus, on main campus, and this is when you register for classes and you meet with an advisor in your specific area and really outline your plan for fall and the next 4 years. Remember to graduate though and successfully complete high school. I can't forget, and I can't stress enough that we do require a final high school transcript from every single student who attends Western Michigan University. And I'm excited for you to have this and follow this guide and this plan. Don't catch senioritis, but have a little fun too. Fantastic. We do have a couple extra questions. I want to make sure we get to them. We have a junior here. Fantastic. Is it likely for you to receive any scholarships this early? That's a great question. From the university, not at this point, but there's no harm in searching for some right now. There are also scholarships when you continue at a university. There are scholarships just for juniors in college and sophomores in college. There absolutely could be ones that are really early that you could start working on now. That maybe deadlines are in the spring, March, April, May. So keep looking. I received a scholarship from, I was part of an EFE program. So I received a scholarship from a local teachers academy, and that actually started because of all the work I put in through junior year. So that's fantastic. So per the early college program, how do I give you both my transcript from high school and college? That's a great question. We have an increasing number of early college students who come to Western Michigan University. So you would request your high school transcript to be sent by official means from your high school counselor. That could be electronically through Parchment, eScript, whatever your school uses, or snail mail in a sealed envelope directly from the school. And then you will need to go to the college that you're dual enrolled with for EMC and request an official transcript be sent to Western Michigan University. We accept transcripts from a wide variety of resources. We're getting into a season where we receive thousands of transcripts in a day, so that we will just hook it up to your file just like any other student. Another question, what does the medallion competition look like? What do you do? Great question, Jolie. We have a lot of questions and applications for the medallion competition. We use information from your application to the university to help in the decision-making process. So extracurriculars, work experience, any of those questions, or any of those will be assessed, including a personal statement. And then The other piece that we'll look at, we have a group problem solving activity that actually you'll participate here. So it's very small groups. Teams of about 11 students will participate in the activity. And then they're working on some revamping to maybe add an additional activity this year, which would be even in smaller groups. So you're evaluating a variety of settings. We're really looking for the next future best ambassadors for this university. We recognize that we are real people, and we want to make sure that we bring those students here to campus. Awesome. If you've started the WMU application, but then just decide to submit the Common App, is that going to create a problem or another ID? That's a great question. Some students I recommend sticking with one. That will be probably the easiest solution to this question and problem. At this point, we do a deduping process behind the scenes. It just might take a few extra days to get through and get everything linked appropriately. If you have any questions about that though, contact your admissions representative and he or she can walk you through the process and see where you are. Good questions about ways to offset the out-of-state extra cost. That's a great question. So actually, about almost 2-3 years ago, the university decided to dramatically reduce our out-of-state tuition rate. So students will, out-of-state students, non-resident students, will only pay 1.25 or 125% of the in-state tuition rate. It usually ends up being only a difference of $3,000. So with that has dramatically helped the out-of-state tuition cost. Room and board, book supplies, any other additional costs are the same for an in-state versus out-of-state students. So that's one way that Western's really tailored to our out-of-state population, and we're a really welcoming institution. We have tons of other scholarships too, and that will be a fantastic opportunity to continue that. Is there a new admissions rep assigned to Chicago? My understanding is that Taylor is no longer, I know. So Taylor is actually one of our, absolutely fantastic. We did switch up some territories this year. So that's a great question. Let's sneak into our website because I want to make sure that everybody knows where to go. So in one moment, we'll get here. If you go to our main website, there we go. If you go to our main website on the left-hand side, so if you're at /admissions, you can go to Find My Rep. And we have an admissions counselor designated for all students across the United States and even students studying abroad. So we have a ton of opportunities for you. For Illinois, we do have 2 admissions representatives in there. You just right-click over Illinois. Chicagoland, we've split up differently. So we have 2 representatives depending on where you are. Greg Lowe will either be your admissions counselor or Taylor Berry. So you can find those on our website. All right, we have another final question before we get to sign off here. Is the FAFSA required to be submitted prior to November 15th as well? And who is the admissions rep for Perry? Great, so one of the questions I will share, the FAFSA does not need to be submitted by then, but know that it does open in October. If you are as part of the FAFSA, many local regions will do FAFSA nights to help you complete that process. We don't require it, but it is available starting in October. We'll start packaging not until about January, February, so all that information will be emailed to you and through official means of communication when that comes to it. We have I recommend submitting that the earlier the better, just to maximize opportunities for institutional aid. Earlier the better, but at this point, FAFSA does not need to be in by November 15th. Just cross it off your list soon. Awesome. And then what question on campus is psychology under? That is part of arts and sciences. So that brings us to a great point. I would thank you so much for participating today. We have plenty of resources available. You can actually go find your major. And so if you have questions as part of your application, there's a link in there to say, where is my major? Arts and Sciences has psychology, and there's a couple different branches, but I know sometimes that looks a little bit different, and interest areas look a little bit different too. So we have over 150 majors. Many students will fall in love, fall into a different major as they continue and progress at Western. We have a team here to help guide you, and especially if maybe you're between a few different majors, coming in as an undecided student, that's completely natural and normal. And we are here to help make sure you have the best path and get you out of here and be successful, because that's the one thing we want to do, is make sure that you leave here a prepared Bronco, ready for anything, and just be ready to take on the world. And that's what you can really expect here at Western. If you haven't had a chance, I would love and encourage anybody to get on campus. If you're from further away, I know we had some folks from Virginia and Illinois. We have a virtual tour on our website that I'd love for you to visit and explore. Come back and see us more and engage in one of our other Western Wednesday sessions. We have quite a few. If you're interested in health and human services, that'll be next week at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we also have arts and sciences, fine arts. Maybe you want to be a teacher or go into more of human development related fields. We'll have a session on that one. Aviation, engineering and applied sciences, and finally Lee Honors College. So we have a full fall ahead of us. I'm excited. Thank you all for your help. Great questions. I can't wait to hopefully meet you on campus and hopefully fall. And if you're a junior, in 2 years. Thank you so much for a great day, and enjoy everything. Good luck with your applications, and go Broncos.